Hello! Let's talk HD. I've tried quite a few systems. We've had the HD Zeros, had Walk Snail, which is sort of one thing I chose, and it's been pretty good so far. And we've even had the experimental open source stuff, like OpenHD is one, OpenIPC is another, where we're starting to get actual commercial products to do that now. The only thing I haven't touched is DJI. That is, until now. I've gone over to the dark side. So this review is going to be about the DJI Goggles Integra. And I'm very lucky to have these supplied by Your FPV. Thanks very much to them. And of course, in order to look at them, I need some sort of quad or something to go with them. So again, thanks for Your FPV for supplying this Meteor series from Beta FPV, which has the 04 unit in it. So this is a review of the goggles. I'm coming from the goggles as someone who's never used DJI before. I'll put a separate video up which concentrates more on this little quad. But you can't really have one without the other. So this will mostly be focused on the goggles and how they feel. So yeah, obviously there's some like signing my soul over to do, and but let's get them out of the box first and see exactly what we get there and how they all work. Okay, so what have we got here? I know the Integra is not the latest and greatest, that's the Goggles 3, but I was trying to look for differences and compatibilities, and these seem very compatible with stuff. So I don't quite know what the difference is, but let's see what we got anyway. Now, as far as I know, and was the reason I wasn't impressed with DJI, is you have to activate your goggles online, which I always found a bit weird for something you buy and own yourself. This is the sort of quick instruction box stuff. And let's go to the actual goggles themselves. Quite interesting. We've got the two antennas here at the front. We've got an integrated battery and a strap, so it should balance you out. And obviously that connects up there. Then elsewhere in the box we've got this little accessories section which gives you some sort of lens covers, a cleaning cloth, a bit of an extension strap for the head strap I suppose, and this looks like a USB-C to USB lead. Also in here we've got a quick start guide, helpful, and safety guidelines that no one looks at. And in here, which I think is going to be very useful for me, we've got a bunch of diopters, which is nice because not many people ship lenses out, although a lot of HD goggles have sort of built-in diopters where you can twiddle a knob, but these have got things from +2 up to -8, and I sit at -6, so should be happy there. Right, so that's everything in the box. So next I have to, well, I could read the full manual, and I can then get the DJI Fly app and plug something in there, see what happens. I was just putting these together and following the instructions when I found several things I really liked. Firstly, to put the strap on, it's just like that, and then I thought, oh, how do I loosen it or tighten it? And it's got a control here, so loosen, gets longer, tighten, goes like that. We've also got a SD card holder here. We have got an IPD adjustment there. I haven't taken these off yet, these are just to protect the lenses. But looking at the instructions, what I need to do is get the eyepieces I want into the little holders and then put them in. So let's try that bit out. Here's the little lens holders, and I like the fact they've got labels for left and right, as well as this thing A, B and C, as you'll see. It means you always get the lenses in the right way round, because the lenses themselves have A, B, C on them, and it's even got a little cover here so you can keep lens clean, remove film after installation, which doesn't include that side, which I've managed to put a fingerprint on. So I'm just going to try and get this one in, and I'll try and do one on camera depending how fiddly it is. It's very hard to do things through the viewfinder. Okay, just did one off camera, so let's see how possible it is to do things on camera. Kind of got to get it in there, sort of push downwards and along there. And you can see why they cover it now, because you really have to push down on that bit. So now we can take those off and put them in the actual goggles. What I found after taking the stickers off is you've actually got the eyepiece things in there already that would hold the lenses, but I've already installed them. They come out a bit weird, they kind of just pull and they come off like that. So let's put these ones in now. Well, there they are with the lenses inserted. I'm not sure if I've got that on right. They kind of didn't seem to feel like they went on as much as they came out, but I'll be able to tell once I've got a picture on there and see if it looks clear or not. Well, at this point I would be turning them on and doing stuff, but they pretty much had no juice. So I've just plugged in USB-C here, and you can see the little charge cable coming up. If you feel very carefully, you can feel there's a wire running down there that goes direct to this battery pack. I quite like the integrated battery pack, and the extra cable is for putting over the head there in case you don't feel it's very balanced or feels a bit heavy or loose. So yeah, aside from the diopters, there is the two antennas which come out like that. Then we've got a button here and a 5-way joystick there to deal with, as well as the power button here, and if you just press it once it'll give you the information about how much power is in there, which in my case is almost nothing, so let's wait a while. Okay, so goggles are charged, they're on. I've gone through the setup quickly, which basically teaches me how to use the 5-way joystick to do stuff, and it's come up and said goggles limited, activate them with the DJI Fly app, so that's the next thing to do. Turns out it's an MFI device, so we can plug in even if you've got an iPhone, and we go ahead and activate these, I guess. I still don't know where you'd ever have to do this for a piece of hardware you own, but there you go. That is the weirdness and strangeness of DJI. It's activated. Oh, I've got new firmware, so I suppose I should install that. It's doing something finally. Well, I went back and had a bit of a search here because I was really interested to understand the difference between this and the regular set of goggles. This is most similar to the Goggles 2. Goggles 3 is obviously the new one. Goggles 2, there's still lots of users about with them. These have a slightly smaller field of view, 44 degrees versus the Goggles 2 51. It doesn't have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth capabilities, so in the Goggles 2 you're able to stream your footage out to a phone or something like that. There's also no speakers here, so you won't be able to hear what your craft is doing if audio is important to you. Lastly, on the Goggles 2 there's like a dot matrix display here showing your channel, and I believe there was like a touchpad thing there. Obviously we've got physical buttons on the Integra. What the Goggles 2 don't have is the inbuilt battery, which I quite like, and these are cheaper, so not bad from a budget point of view. Both of them though have these fixed antennas, so you can't upgrade those or put patches on and stuff like that. Okay, wearing the goggles, I've got to say they're pretty comfortable. The head strap feels quite nice. There is a real knack to getting the sweet spot of moving your IPD. It can just, if it goes out one little bit, either the left or the right hand side will be slightly blurry. That's why I thought I didn't have the diopters pushed in at first, but it all seems good. I do notice that I think there's some sort of fan unit here, but my right eye is steamed up. It's quite hot in here, but that's something definitely to take into account. It is quite nice getting your tightness with the strap and just turning the thing. So next up we need to connect it to our craft. We'll be using this little whoop. Linking these to something seems a bit of an interesting affair. In the goggles you have to go into the menu, which I can't really show you. You go into status and then you switch from what it thinks it's connecting to the DJI O4 Air unit in our case, because we're going to link it to this guy. Next we have to press a little button which puts it into linking mode, which is just here on the side on this one. Okay, we've got the red light blinking. Press hold, beeps. We have a picture, very good picture actually, to say it's indoors and not particularly good. But what I'm not using is a powered battery, so I should unplug this, get the batteries charged up and then take it for a fly. I've also got a little bit of potential messing around on Betaflight, especially with the OSD, and just to check what its settings are as well. Well, I found I could record things manually, and this lets me talk you through some of the menus. So if we go to status, it tells us we're connected to the DJI 4 unit, and if we go to switch, this shows all the things it could connect to, and basically if you select one of those and then put it in the bind mode, it will try and find one. All pretty good, and looks like there's a decent range of stuff you can connect to. I can't show you album because it's recording, but essentially that's just the DVR playback. Transmission gives us some of our obvious modes, like focus mode I've got to auto, broadcasting off, and then transmission power I've put on auto, and this can go up to 400 milliwatts. This is purely the out of the box situation. I'm sure there's some hacks you could use to go higher. Then we got the channel mode, which is normally set to auto, which I've been absolutely fine with, but you can go ahead and change bits and bobs down there. I'm going to leave basically everything as auto. It's how it came out of the box, and I want to see how things are out of the box. Okay, then if we go into settings, we've got bits on safety, camera view before loss. I'm presuming it gives you the last view of the camera before it lost the signal. If we go into control, this is mostly about adding the DJI type control using the DJI radio. Camera's got a lot of stuff. I've changed the aspect ratio to 4:3 because it seemed to have a better sort of field of view, and it's quite handy for looking at the OSD. And there's advanced camera settings where we talk about the recording, and then we can do the sharpness and the flicker, that sort of stuff. Lots of settings to play with. Display, as you see, I've got the scaling down to 90% just to make sure I can see it all comfortably without feeling I need to really move my eyes around. And the about just has some of the serial numbers and the firmware running. If we go to more, it talks about how you can connect to DJI Virtual Flight. There are also some quick buttons as well. If you press the 5-way joystick up, you get the thing where you can do record. If you press it down, you get all these quick links to changing some of the camera modes and aspect ratios and stuff like that. So I did a bunch of indoor flights to see how the goggles looked, and this is, I think, flight number 5 or so. And I'm very impressed by the picture. You can see there's a little bit of noise in these darker areas, but it's pretty impressive compared to the other cameras I've used. Now you will see the megabits has dropped down from 50 to around 25 at the worst, but that HD thing with the little bars, that's always absolutely full signal. So there was never a question of feeling any sort of latency or it getting worse. It just felt very good. And certainly as we go out into the brighter areas, it was like, wow, everything is absolutely pin sharp. And I really like the way the DVR records. The DVR records in 1080p at 60 frames a second, and you have the choice to record with your OSD or not, unlike WalkSnail where you have to then take a separate file and run a program to actually put the OSD back in there. Obviously the quad records on its own, it's recording 4K 60, but I will really come to that bit when we talk about the quad generally. I wanted to talk about the goggles because I'm really impressed in terms of there was absolutely no instance of the signal dropping at all, and it felt very good to fly. I say that the quad has a very fine line between where you are on the throttle between going up and going down, which makes it slightly harder for sort of tighter work like going around the house. But yeah, I mean, they felt comfortable. The view was extremely good. I have to concede and say that people that said, oh my god, the DJI image is so amazing, they may have a point in it. Yeah, so inside it looks pretty good. We still get noise in the darker areas, but the camera does a fairly good job. Outside looks fairly amazing where you've got a decent amount of sun. So what we need to do now is try outside, maybe in some different lighting environments, to see how that works and see how the goggles hold up to getting the signal back if we go like behind trees and stuff like that. Clearly it works through walls and it works very well compared to other quads I've run down there. So I took it outside and I put another 6 or so batteries through it. This is quite interesting lighting conditions because it's kind of dappled light. And normally I expect to see a bit of noise around here, but this is like so clear. Even when sort of we're going behind multiple trees and stuff, we really don't see an impact on the video at all. And other digital systems I've seen really do have a problem when we've got details like lots of grass or lots of similar textures. They sort of blur things out. On this, absolutely sharp as a pin. Obviously, I'm concentrating as a review of the goggles in this particular video, and they're only half the story. The other half, of course, is the 04 unit, which seems to use some sort of magic to keep this amazing link. The only time I saw it drop from 50 megabits per second is going behind this tree, which is like there's a lot of trees lined up. It went all the way down to 42 megabits per second, but I never saw any impact in video quality. And I didn't see any change to latency. The latency has been very, very consistent all the way through, and that's very impressive. So yeah, I mean, these goggles coupled with a nice quad are an absolute joy to use. I don't know how else to explain it really. It's just pretty amazing the sort of picture you'll get. especially when we're using such a tiddly little quad and getting this sort of sharpness and great image for our goggles. Yeah, count me as a convert. Well, I've got to say, these goggles work very well and give a stunning picture. Are there any niggles or problems though? There are a few, some of which I've got a slight answer to. When I got them, I thought, how am I going to carry these around without the lenses getting scratched and that? So I ended up sort of taking them off like this, putting this bit in a bag and letting this bit swing around. I've since learned there's a way of folding them so you can sort of put them away a bit better. To do that, you have to undo this all the way, then you fold this one over and into the goggles like so, and then this bit comes back and there is a little loop here which connects up like that, and then you've got it sort of protecting the lenses a little bit, and this kind of stays there. Still needs a bag though, but that's a minor niggle. If I had a larger annoyance about these, I would say it's that sweet spot of where everything is focused. It is so narrow, you've got to have your face perfect, and that means not only do they have to be perfect on your IPD, but you can't be slightly up or slightly down. That sort of ruins it as well. So it's probably worth including that head strap so you know when you pull it down it's in exactly the right place. If you get that sweet spot right though, absolutely beautiful, but it doesn't take much to knock it out and get a bit of blurriness, which is a pain. Now, I'm not against DJI as such. I've owned multiple products, starting way back with the NASA when quads and tricopters were just emerging, and that was light years ahead of the competition. And you've got to say, technology wise, they are way out in front of everybody. That 04 unit combined with these, I've never seen anything like it in all my other digital systems. That is quite staggering. What I don't tend to like is the way DJI does stuff. It's kind of like if you were buying their like photo drones and you went from some sort of Mavic to a new Mavic, then odds on it would give you like a couple of extra modes, but none of the batteries would be compatible and it'd be on a completely new controller, and so that's never anything compatible. They've gone down the line of like, replace your stuff, and it's kind of the same as goggles. All the guys that bought the Goggles V1 doesn't work on the 03 or the 04 Air unit, so you have to still keep getting your original Air units or the Caddx Vista, that sort of thing. And it's kind of like that all the way through. Choosing what goggle you want from DJI is a bit of a minefield. When I had a look at DJI's official compatibility list, I mean, it's confusing as well because it's not up to date, because I know from looking that the Integra and the Goggles 2 now do work with the Avatar 2, but that sort of lines up more photo drones than regular ones. There's this chart here made by Madstech, thanks Ian, a very useful chart, which sort of shows a little bit more about what you can do. And you see the DJI Goggles 2 and the Integra have pretty wide compatibility. Just with the Goggles 3 working with the DJI Neo, I think that's the only extra thing it gets there. So I'm in the ecosystem of DJI now, and I have to say I'm very keen to fly some larger quads with the 04 unit. It's just amazing. I want to see how far it will go, how far you can push it behind things and stuff, because it seems to me, as many people have said, magical. I've seen open IPC discussions saying at the best case they can maybe keep up with Walks now, but not the 04 unit. That thing is like out in front. Anyway, as I said, these were very kindly provided by Your FPV, and if you're in the UK and you're looking for goggles, take a look at these there. They do a whole bunch of DJI stuff as well, so you can check that out, and there'll be links down below. So I hope this review of the goggles has been helpful. As I said, I'll do a separate video concentrating more about that little Beta FPV quad and what extra things we can do and how it flies and how tough it is. That'll be coming up soon. In the meantime, I hope this has been helpful, and I'll catch you next one. Bye for now. Well, you've made it to the end of the video, so thanks once again for watching. If you like what you saw, then please consider subscribing, and if you really like what you saw, then be sure to check out the link to my blog for a variety of ways in which you can help support this channel.